superstition is unbecoming of a Royal Deadfire Company officer, Tebe.
I say, it's a lucky thing I'm not one then.
Hello and welcome to Session 21 of my Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire Lorethrough. As you can see, we are currently right outside of Neketaka in a brand new boat. Hopefully this session I won't have to go through any mic issues or anything like that. I thought I had it last session, but then it kind of cut out in the last maybe half hour of the video, and I don't know if that was my fault. Maybe I coughed because I was still kind of coughing from being sick, and I turned the mic off and forgot to turn it back on, or maybe something else happened with my mic. Hopefully it was user error though, because I just got a new mic and I don't want to have to deal with problems with a brand new mic. All that said though, let's move on with the session. To start off today, a couple things. First, I want to read a little bit more about the churches of Aora. We have already read about the Children of the Dawn Stars and the Bright Shepherds, who are both Aethasian followers. Today we will be reading about the Champions of the Letter. After this, I also want to go over some of the ship changes. If you are an eagle-eyed viewer, maybe you realize that the zoomed-in shot of my ship right now is different than it has been in previous sessions. At the end of the last session, I got a new ship, got some upgrades, that kind of thing, just because I was going further out and I was realizing that there might be some things that might happen to my ship that makes me need a little bit more durability at the very least. But when I actually went back to Neketaka and made all those changes, I cut that part of the episode out because my mic was down and I didn't want to have to talk through everything. So after I read this section on the churches, I am going to go over what I did to my ship, the new name, all those kinds of things. So first off though, let's read about the Champions of the Letter. Widla is a favored deity of Aora's administrative clerks and more litigious-minded kith. In keeping with her portfolio of compacts and law, Champions of the Letter are devoted to the rigid accuracy of documentation. Their members represent a broad swath of cultures who owe no allegiance to any government. Rather, they seek official sponsorship or charter. They sternly avoid partnerships, which could compromise their objectivity. Their self-imposed duty is to closely review and edit any official documentation with no scrap of parchment considered too insignificant for their attention. If a colonial governor requisitions materials to fit a crumbling sewer grate, the likelihood that the Champions of the Letter would intercept and review the request is startlingly high. When documents are found to contain misinformation, contradiction, or an otherwise innocent lack of clarity, the Champions put intense pressure on officials to have their wording redrafted in a manner befitting the dignity and trust of their station. Due to the meddlesome and unsolicited nature of their activities, the Champions are widely antagonized. Harmless as they may seem, they create additional work in order to satisfy their fanatical attention to detail. Government officials pray to Widla not to draw the ire of her followers, and those who endure long careers without any intervention by her champions congratulate themselves on their achievement. The Champions' most fervent enemies are the Duke's Bells of the Valian Republics. Owing to a combination of clerical errors and the intentionally broad and interpretable language of the Republic law, the Champions have refused to pay taxes for the last century. Those who've been caught and imprisoned for exploiting their legal loophole solemnly vow that their order is happy and willing to pay taxes as soon as government documentation is corrected to fit their model of perfection. This has earned the Champions of a semi-accurate reputation as an organization of lawbreakers. Their numbers annually grow as tax evaders seek sanctuary and find themselves devoted to alternative lifestyles as holy criminals. A couple things here about the Champions of the Letter. One, very in line with what we've seen from Widla followers. We've already seen the Steel Garrote in a couple places, actually, much earlier on with Inquisitor Ludwine, and just last session with, I can't remember the name of the person who was looking for Widla's mace. And the Steel Garrote is all about, like, if you break an oath, then that is a death sentence, no matter what the oath was. So they have that letter of the law, and they expect you to follow it. If you do not follow it, then that means death. And here we see a very rigid implementation of the letter of law. So much so that if the law is not to their liking, well, not liking, that's the wrong word. If the law is not up to par with their own language and their own ideas of perfection, then they consider it to not even be a law, which is why they have gotten in trouble with the law, especially in the Valian republics, because they haven't been paying taxes. The other thing that I wanted to point out here is these champions of the letter must be very much at odds with the god Wall, who is more about obfuscation and keeping things secret, and not letting knowledge spread too far, basically giving a little bit of knowledge but leaving so many questions here. So the idea that the champions of the letter want everything written down, everything recorded, I think would put them very much at odds with any Wall-Light followers. The next church is the Sorrows of Forgotten Dream, and it's a very short section, so I think I want to read about the Sorrows of Forgotten Dream too. It seems a contradiction for Wall, god of mystery and obfuscation, to have an organized following. I didn't even realize that this was going to be about a Wall church, so very appropriate to what I was just saying. The god's devotees roost in unlikely places, back alleys, pleasure dens, the halls of ancient ruins, other churches, etc., to celebrate and remember the dreams which they forget upon waking. They do not consider the meaning of their dreams as possessing any intrinsic value or prophecy. Rather, dreams are the divine's way of voicing the meaninglessness of all existence and the ephemeral nature of sanity. Referring to themselves as sorrows, recognize the burdens of melancholy they place on their strange enlightenment. The fragility of reality offers little comfort. The sorrows of Wall do nothing to control how many acolytes join their casual ranks, but they prefer their numbers to be limited, believing that only a fraction of the population is equipped to handle the truth. So, very Wall-Light of them to put so much stock into dreams, but then also say, yeah, dreams are just there to talk about the uselessness of our own lives. So two very different factions there, I think, two very different churches, one opposed to order and just everything being recorded, written down, and the other being devoted to dreams, but not to find meaning, but to find the lack of meaning, which again, very Wall-Light thing of them to do. Okay, so next I wanted to just really quickly go over my new ship here. The new ship is called a Dow. I believe that's how you pronounce it, DHOW. My old ship was a deer wooden sloop. That's the one I've had since the beginning of the game. I bought this one. You can see it's a little bigger. It's got more spaces for things. I called it Astin Min, which is a Orjoman word, which is the language of the Pale Elves. It's a greeting that means my love. So I thought that was appropriate for a ship name. Okay, so most of the crew here is the same. I did, however, get a new sail. So I have Vithrok Silk sails. That gives me +5 sail health. Let's see if it says anything about them. Yes, it does. Pure Vithrok silk sails are a rarity. So many sails of this type are master-crafted weave of cotton and Vithrok silk. The adhesive nature of the silk aids crew members climbing in the rigging, allowing for faster jibing and tacking. The silk also increases the overall strength of a sail. And then I got new hull treatment, an Adirian hull treatment, a fine mix of practicality and extravagance. This hull treatment is the standard of the Adirian Imperial Navy. Polished with an oil extracted from the internal glands of the Lagothoth and reinforced with copper rivets, this hull is designed to withstand the rigors of prolonged journeys while exuding Adirian class. Just a standard helm, but I did get arcane lanterns and Amiran steel anchors, so I'm going to read those as well. So the arcane lanterns, powered by enchanted stones, these lanterns provide ample illumination while sailing at night, providing increased visibility. They require neither flame nor oil and burn with a powerful, cool light. And the Amiran steel anchor, crafted from lightweight Amiran alloys, this anchor lowers the weight of the ship, allowing for better speed and maneuverability. So you get +5 combat speed and +5% travel speed as well. And that is all of the changes to the ship. You have 45. I think we were at 30 before. I could be wrong. I'm sorry. Sail health is 40. to 45, and the hull health is now 80. I think that was 50 before. So you can see, and I did hire a couple people. I believe I hired Naya. Can't read anything about her. And, I had to get a new surgeon, so I got Kerger, a surgeon, a pale elf. One of my kinsmen as our surgeon. I believe Shield's sister Dahlia was our surgeon, and she died in a confrontation that our boat had with some kind of beast, horned beast. I don't think we had an actual name for it. Oh yes, we did. It's like Nikotalik or something like that. I probably got that wrong. But anyway, she died, so we had to get a new surgeon. And we also have space for a deckhand here, so let's put Worthless Idiot in there. Okay, so all that introduction stuff out of the way. Last session we went to Motare o Kozi, and we got our Huana chart, but we destroyed the thing that gave us the chart, so nobody else can find that, which could help us go to Ukaizo. We also went there and we talked to the Rotted Lady. She had been a leader of this forested area there, and which had been corrupted, but we were able to actually uncorrupt the place with Takehu's help, and all of the Delmgons there, all the people who could have been enemies actually ended up being allies, and we did that with very little actual combat, so that was nice. So I think I want to go to Neketaka and talk about what we did to Queen Unakaza and Prince Aruihi. I believe neither of them will be very happy with us, but hey, what are you going to do? They wanted to take advantage of this place and find Ukaizo, and I don't know, none of the factions in this game really seem like they have the greater good in play. They are more concerned with just making themselves richer and better off. So let's go to Queen Unakaza. Probably have to go to Aruihi. You hear a set of heavily armored footsteps from down a nearby alley. The narrow streets in this neighborhood are largely deserted at night, and the echoes of heavily armored footfalls carry down the cobbled lanes. You notice two members of your crew, Jordy Red-Handed and Naya, crouching at the corner ahead of you, their backs to you. See anything interesting? The pair almost leap from their skin at your sudden appearance. Gods above, Captain, Naya hisses. You trying to scare us to death? My heart nearly stopped. Frowning, Jordy Red-Handed glances around the corner, then back to you. Nothing to see here, Captain. They glare silently. Naya sighs. Just tell him. Jordy Red-Handed's eyes roll. We've found a chance to make a little coin, Captain. A glance around the corner reveals an aging meadowfolk, variously dressed in the styling of a dear wooden noble. Lamplight glints from the rings on his fingers and chains around his thin neck. Damnation! I told you, incompetence, that this was not the right street. The words are slurred, as if the man's tongue is too heavy for his mouth. Several men and women, all too heavily armored for their climate, accompany the man. Apologies, master. If we... Shut up, fool. By Mogren's flame, is it always this hot? I'd pay 1,000 dukes for another drink. I don't really know what they're doing here. They're making money somehow. Take it from here, you two. That's what I'm going to say. Naya winces as Jordy Red-Handed... Oh, I got minus 10 morale for that? As Jordy Red-Handed spits a fat blob of phlegm that slowly trails down the wall. Gods. Understood, Captain. We'll return to the ship. The pair slink away. I'm gonna hide from the noble and guards. Success? One of the guards leans in towards the man. This is not the safest of streets, sir. Perhaps it's your job to keep me safe, not prattle on like a schoolmarm. You crouch in a shadowed corner, and the noble and his guards pass you by. Although the sound is faint, you can just hear the gentle rattling of full coin purse as they pass. Gonna do nothing. Wait. Prepare an ambush. No, I don't want to attack them. Maybe I'd want to steal him. He seems like he's kind of a noble, but nah, he'll do nothing. The noble and his guards pass you by and continue down the street. Continuing on to the rooftop of Kahanga Palace.
Good thinking.
Let's see what she has to say.
The Herald of Berath is welcome, I say.
Nope, nothing here, so maybe you'd have to go to Prince Aruihi. I don't know if he's in his chambers or if he's downstairs. Let's see. His chamber downstairs. Downstairs. There it is.
So, my sister finally wishes to negotiate with the Wahaki.
He crosses his arms and purses his lips, looking quietly impressed.
This is serious work. I trust you to behave yourself on Oreo Kowiki.
He raises his brow to Takehu.
Akira, just this once, my prince.
Takehu raises his hand to suppress a chuckle.
Months ago, I told Onikaza to make appeals to the Wahaki Ranga. She must feel the walls of the Deadfire closing in, I say.
A reminder, Wahaki, an aggressive and isolationist Huana tribe, the Wahaki have consistently pushed back against Huana and Rauatai in efforts to expand into the outlying islands of the Deadfire archipelago. I believe they also have quite the history with the Royal Deadfire Company, with a lot of battles and killings taking place between the two, as the Royal Deadfire Company tried to expand in the Deadfire archipelago. Do you have any advice?
Be respectful and ignore the mutterings in the street. I say the Wahaki are keepers of tradition, not hardened killers. But if earning the trust of the Wahaki was easy, I would have done it ages ago.
Any other questions?
If there's curiosity to be satisfied, Akira, I will help.
We should talk about Motare Kozi.
Do not leave me in suspense, I say. Have you found Motare Kozi?
Aruihi raises his brow and gestures for you to speak. Your expedition never made it off of Motare Kozi. I'm sorry.
I sent good women and men to die in the name of the tribes and in the vague hope. May Ngati thank them for their courage and Wodaka for their loyalty. May they return to us as Rangas.
Aruihi raises a shaking hand to touch his lowered brow.
What of their findings, Watcher? Did they recover anything? Anything about Ukaizo?
To lie and say I didn't find anything.
Nothing? No ruins? No trace of the expedition?
Aruihi puts a hand out to steady his balance. Frowning, Takehu seems ready to contradict you. He thinks better of it and turns away, clearing his throat.
For what did my expedition give their lives over an empty island? It makes no sense, I say.
Aruihi pulls the blood-stained cloth from his pocket and studies it, shaking his head. Stuffing the way, he tosses you a pouch of coins with disdain.
Speak on. Pray to Ngati that bad fortune is behind us.
More to report, Your Highness.
This is much to learn in a day, even for this warrior.
Aruihi touches his brow and considers.
I sent the expedition to their fate, and those who followed. Death is on my conscience this day.
Lifts his gaze to meet yours. It's never far from mine, either.
May all who fell on Motare Kozi slip through the eel's jaws. Huana and outsider alike.
Sighing, Aruihi bows his head.
Setbacks are nothing new to the Kahanga throne. Ngati delights in testing my sister's patience.
Aruihi smiles in spite of himself.
Too much has happened for you to waste words with the royal brother. From now on, you work with Onikaza as an honored guest of her rooftop garden. Only, be kind to her cats.
Been a pleasure working with you.
You say this now, but Onikaza pays better than her royal pinch fist of a brother. May the wind caress your sail.
Aruihi pats your shoulder and nods, smiling. Okay. So, didn't even tell him anything. I mean, that's good. The reason I destroyed the chart is because, I mean, that's all anybody wants. All they want it is for, like, the only reason anybody wants to go to Okaizu is for power. It's not to get in touch with anything, is just for power, to have the upper hand in the Deadfire archipelago, which is why I destroyed it. And they were sending people to die to get their hands on this. So maybe now they'll stop doing that. Hopefully, anyway. But, you know. Let's see what else we got. Winner is DLC. Bounty. So Queen Onikaza wants us to recruit the Oaxaca tribe. Do that. And then we got 2 letters last time from different people in the Principe. One was from Captain Ferrante. Oh, and one was from Captain Aldis. Aldis has sent a letter asking me to meet her at Fort Deadlight. So we could do that. We have a bounty down here. We have to help Captain Ferrante anyway. To earn the loyalty of the slavers of Crooksburg. That doesn't sound like something I would do. Skipping ahead. The Animancers have gathered their resources and enthusiasm and are intent upon a second attempt to cross the in-between. Says she'll send a message, so we're not ready to do that yet. It's me. Matter of import. Meet Widla at the rendezvous location. West of Neketaka. Oh, this is Maia's quest, I think. Valera now. Another Maia task. Oh, we have to find this friend of Seraphin's. Oh, we have to return the artifact. I'm gonna give it to Natehe. She is the Huana that wanted the Berath epic. She's probably right here too. Yes, she is.
You return. What say, friend?
It's funny I could pretend to drop the tablet. I'm not going to do that, but that's funny that I could. Give her the artifact. I retrieved the tablet from Archimir's vault.
Akira, you've restored to us a piece of our history.
The tablet with care. So this was about Ukaizo. These 2 people, though, I don't know. I just feel like Natehe was just trying to take pride in her people's history and Huana's history, whereas the Royal Deadfire Company is just very militaristic, and they want it for, like, conquest means, not anything that is worthy of helping. I don't think anything.
The Queen thanks you, my friend. We are a step closer to...
Tehe trails off as a winged, leathery figure in the distance draws closer to you. Uh-oh.
Hey, you the Watcher?
He improds you to get your attention. Yes, that's me.
Good. If I delivered message to wrong person, Master would curse me with Archimir's annoying song that never gets out of your head.
Curse.
Archimir, the great master, has returned. Invites you to join him at the estate. Says you know where that is.
The imp lets out a harsh, discordant chuckle, holding his claw in front of his mouth to hide a mischievous grin. I'll see him when I have the time.
But whoever has time, you have to make time.
Gimp nods to himself thoughtfully.
Find Master in his study. Don't be late.
Gimp winks at you and flutters away.
Well, that was faster than I anticipated. I had hoped for more time to work with the Queen on her formal apology, but I will have to accelerate our plan.
He frowns, clearly disturbed.
Thank you again, truly. This may be our most meaningful step towards Ukaizo. We just have to pray that Archimere doesn't put hexes on his belongings.
She handles the tablet with care.
Well, we cleaned out his place real good. Maybe he wants to tell us how impressed he is.
The Archimere, the Archmage, we stole that epic from. With no blood. So maybe he'll be happy about that? I don't know. He's an Archmage. No place to sleep here, does it? So there is a quest in the Sacred Stair that I've been wanting to do for a while. There's nowhere to sleep. I think I have to go to Queen's Birth and rest at the Mare first.
Now, what can I do for you? You see anything you like?
Let's go to... Let's do it. That's right. Okay. Where is that quest? It was something to do, I believe, with a follower of Berath. This is it. Ascend into the Hanging Sepulchers. Pastor said the eulogy of Visier was etched into stone tablets that now rest in the Hanging Sepulchers, a complex of catacombs carved under the Sacred Stair. We can find the main entrance to the Hanging Sepulchers right outside the Temple of Berath in the lower walkway. Only those bearing the mark of Berath may use the Eel's Coil, a symbol of the goddess, to enter the tombs under the temple. And I've acquired the Eel's Coil, and I have the Mark of Berath since the beginning of the game, so let's head there now. Traveling in the slums of Neketaka when the streets become suddenly barren. Lifts high above through the narrow alleys and tunnels of Neketaka's ghettos into darkness, even in midday. The reek of rotten fruit mixes with the noisome scent of the dead fish, swaddling you along with 100 other lesser filthy fragrances. Your footsteps echo in the darkness, piercing the otherwise silent slums. Strangely quiet, don't you think? Allah looks around warily. You turn a corner and walk into a plaintive cry. Help! The shape and shadows mix with a low hissing and skittering of claws on filthy stone to resolve into a pack of skulder. Their glistening maws float in the black, and cave grubs wriggle about their legs, mandibles snapping as if to mangle the air. I wonder if they came from below in the old city. On the far side of the creatures, a small girl dressed in the rags of the Huana grips a gleaming sword in both hands. She brandishes it wildly at the skulder, each swing of the blade releasing a howl that keeps the beasts at bay. They creep ever closer to her, however, and her eyes plead with your own. Please. Let's draw the beast's attention with athletics. Give that one to Adair. Success! With a resounding shout, Adair rushes into the fray. The Skulder flinch and turn on your party. They growl hungrily as they charge forward.
Yeah!
Now, what do we got here? Who's this girl? Doesn't die. Got some Skuldarks and some cave grubs.
Behold me, mother!
Could use something to put a little pep on my step.
stand together!
Fear not the ring.
That's right.
It's hurt. Cure her.
My insides burn.
Moe.
Last one.
That's it!
Moe.
I have
Play that
seen
gonzo
trails.
Happily.
Purple larva. Scold her ears. Girl panting before you, draped in tattered reparo robe, spares a few bruises and cuts but looks otherwise unharmed. Beads of sweat commingle with trickling blood on her forehead. Finally relaxing, she lowers the sword she's been swinging, letting the edge rest in the dirt. The pommel bears the form of a dog's head.
Thanks, stranger. Don't think I could have made it without you.
She smiles, eyes gleaming in the gloom. What are you doing out here?
These Skulder had been picking folk off for weeks, picking on the weak. Those too young, old, or sick to fight them off.
He kicks one of the corpses.
Maybe it was stupid, but I couldn't let that go on, not if I could help it.
Incredibly brave of you.
Nah.
Lucy looks away with a blush, her hair falling over her face to half hide her grin.
I mean, maybe a little.
Wait, the sword you've got there.
Like it? My father left it for me. Told me that one day I'd defend the Deadfire with it.
It seems to have magical properties.
You're not wrong. I don't understand it myself, but it seemed to confuse the Skulder. Probably saved my life.
Then it's an ancestral blade.
Not really. Father found it and brought it home. He said he got it from some Dirwidian pirate captain with a dog named Griffin. But, well, sometimes his tales were a bit taller than true.
It looked like you had it handled. I just swept in to help clean up. You're not dead. I'm just gonna say nothing. She blinks at your silence, then shrugs.
Anyway, I think you should have this. For what you did, and for what you can do with it.
He kneels, wipes the blood off the blade, and slides it in a scabbard before proffering it to you. Most one in the gullet don't have your grasp of a Diran. A history.
That's Father's doing. He traveled all over and he insisted that I learn Adiran, Valian, and Rauataian.
He puffs out her chest.
I even know a few phrases in Anutanic.
That is the formal term for the Boreal Dwarves. Thank you. I'll use this blade well.
No, thank you for coming along when you did. And what's more, for helping.
She bows her head. As you take the sword from her, the girl steps back. Gained Griffin's blade. It's a... kind of weapon is it? Sword, I guess. It's a Howling Blade, 50% chance to daze target and nearby enemies on a critical hit. And a Loyal Companion grants a Loyal Companion once per encounter. I can give my allies Steadfast, which is +5 Resolve. Spirit of the Griffin bolsters the party's courage, grants Steadfast to the wielder and nearby allies when the wielder is bloodied. It's an exceptional sword. This bronze sword is not associated with the great smith, but with the modest artisan. The young craftswoman, noted for her talent at engraving and jewelry, received the unfinished blade from her local lord with a commission for a brass crossguard and pommel. Elated at the thrust shown in her talents, the artisan worked tirelessly to complete the order. As she etched and polished, her faithful dog Griffin stayed at her side day and night. As days turned to weeks, the artisan began to forego food and sleep in her effort to fulfill her commission. When she became discouraged, Griffin, the ever-faithful companion, was there to encourage her with a nuzzle and a loving lick. Dogs. One day, while working, the artisan looked down to her feet to find her beloved canine companion cold and still. Griffin had died curled at her feet, faithful to the last. Heartbroken, the artisan decided to commemorate the hound on the piece into which she had poured her heart and soul. She crafted the pommel into Griffin's likeness, taking some comfort in knowing that when the Lord carried his sword, he too would always have a loyal companion beside. Oh man, I have to make sure I use that sword. Pierce damage.
I truly appreciate what you did. Not everyone in Neketaka steps in for a neighbor. I need to be getting back to Mother, though.
She grimaces down at one of the dead Skulder.
I probably shouldn't take home Skulder meat, should I?
He muses. Alright, so... Just a sword. Gnome's courage. Plus 10 damage with spells. Nope. It's minus 10 damage from melee attacks. Plus 5 fortitude. I like that one. Plus 5 actions, so I'm going to do Gnome's resilience.
Uh-huh.
Good stare now.
Aloth, can I ask you something?
Saying no has never stopped anyone before.
It's just that I tried talking with Adair, but I don't seem to be making any headway. He doesn't want to warm up to me.
He doesn't fight at the front because he's good with a sword. He's just dense as stone. Which is to say, he's not one for taking hints.
Well, you don't have to make it seem so hopeless.
There, I guess. Something about stepping into the jaws of Tangaloa with a full heart. Charming prospect, I say. Kehu examines the door, stroking his chin. The door shudders and groans at your approach. I'm gonna leave real quick. I'm gonna see if there's a recommended. Inspect the door. An elaborate etching spans the stone's width, carved faintly beneath several runes. It depicts a small crowd praying to a pair of giant eels that have coiled above a large door, and a Maua priest holds a disc near to the door's face. A religious artifact, blessed by Berath, is likely necessary to open this entryway. We are that. Hold the eel's coil up to the door. As the eel's coil nears the door, the stone-carved circlet rattles in your hand. Wisps of your soul essence encircle the coil, then reach outward. The tendrils curl through the door, touching it, soaking it in a purple glow. A murmur, like Berath's own welcome, whispers up from under your feet. The door begins to slide open, grinding down into the ground. There you go. Search for the Hanging Sepulchers. These doors are shut fast, and you can see no locking mechanism. It must be opened elsewhere.
this is.
Skull there. Exceptional mace. Shield. What's a discipline? Special.
We got
Risen soldier.
trouble, folks.
Stand together!
Moe, Ixie, Alna.
Nice job, somebody recognizing a trap in the middle of a fight. Let's see. Risen is I think that would be. Oh, here we go. Risen soldier. Okay, so they're just skeletons. They're just skeletons. They form of vessels.
Of course.
Spawn against berries.
Look there. Just a moment, please. Hope that helps.
Exceptional medium shield and potion of deafness. Billion plate armor. Some lockpicks. Anything in here? Soldier had exceptional defense.
Take a guess. They're over there.
Scorching venom. Apply the poison. 5.3 burn damage. Okay.
Indeed. Interesting.
There's an armsman up here.
Could be true. Yeah! Happily. That hit true.
Moe.
Beyond seek.
Maybe one with the risen set off that trap. Oh man, Takei went down quick.
Not even close.
Watch out for these risen mages. This is. I thought that this would be easy.
We're losing together.
Moe, Ixie, Alna.
Excuse me. Guess I gotta
Time to separate the.
think about these fights in here.
Can't make a dent. Indeed.
I hear you.
Nothing Takei went down. Secret passage. Picks. Marksman.
That's unusual.
This does not work.
These things are in for a walloping.
Shade is attacking Aloth.
Of course.
Oh, we got a superb warbow. Maybe. Let's see. Yep.
No trouble
use
at all.
too many ranged weapons with him, but if I ever need it, let's go. Huh? Here we found a sapphire and an azure blade. Stiletto. Grants mob rule. Grants bonus accuracy when 3 or more allies are within 2 meters. Ooh, okay. The Azure Circle started as little more than a band of street thugs. They used extortion and bribery to convince the authorities to turn a blind eye to their many disreputable deeds. In doing so, the Rakes found they had free reign to do as they pleased. Their gang soon grew into a criminal empire, the rival of any guild in Aora. This empire was built on coin acquired through illicit trade, protection schemes, and, as it had been since their founding, out-and-out robbery. When clients, rivals, or associates refused to comply with the wishes of the Circle, they would quickly find themselves at the mercy of the organization's enforcers, remorseless killers clad in azure blue cloaks, who would ambush their victims en masse and stab them to death. It's a nasty little faction there. Scroll of Pull of Aora. Summons a black sphere that draws all enemies nearby it toward each time it pulses. Huh. Turquoise, Skira, and the Eulogy to Aesir, the Vigil. So that updated our quest here. This is a quest item, Eulogy to Aesir, 2587 AI to 2619 AI. As blood seeps from wounds so deep, and death croons about the sepulchre, let silence fall in final warden to betake my priest till Berath's dark maw. After many a battle, when my mace has failed him, now bind his wounds, and can watch only while he dies. Badewin, Lady of Vigils. Sounds like an ancient version of Adiran almost, like an Old English or Middle English version of English. So let's see, what does it say? I've acquired part of the eulogy. On this one it says his champion Feodin, the Lady of Vigils, battled beside him wielding a mace. Feodin is the mace wielder. A robed figure holding a lantern features prominently among the etchings that adorn the sarcophagus. Let's see.
Happily.
Fortune Income.
Of course.
Stars. Lakes. Lower levels of the sepulchres, all the resting tablets or something as this being buried. So leaf and pick. Razor bill.
How about? Indeed.
Potion of Iron Stone. Oh. It's just a flower, not the bell that I have. I have the chime.
We got
Bells over here.
Yeah! That's it!
Oh, lots of skeletons here. All of them seem to really want to kill Al.
Can't take my...
All going after Al. Oh, they have a major gun, so.
I'm sorry, I can't.
Worse than rough! Second try, I say!
We should rest here. Al's gone down twice. Really are going after him. You know who the mage is, I guess.
Happily.
Forgotten mausoleum here. Alright, so let's take a rest. Fresh fruit.
Sure thing.
City in the lake. Something's going to mist around us. So that's the quick way out there. Let's explore this full area before we go. Forgotten. Crumbling remains of an old tomb, a passage leads deeper into the mountain. Inspect the tomb's entrance. Skeletal remains jut out from the walls inside the tomb. Its niche is now filled with loose rocks. Ahead, the graves lead into a passage. It bends to the left, a breeze whizzing into its hollowed darkness. I think this just goes outside. This is like an alternate entrance that we could have like tied a rope to or something. But let's just enter the passage and see. You pull yourself up into the tomb. Beyond the half-interred bodies flanking it, a passage into the rock winds its way upward. You ascend through its bends with care, leaving the light of the catacombs behind. You stand in a dark, narrow cavern. The path ahead climbs out of depths of the mountain. Continue up the cavern. You cross the narrow cavern, leaving it behind, and begin your climb through a steep passage. The air grows stale and heavy. You stand before a hallway. Its columns frame dozens of tombs hollowed in a rock. Cubbies line the walls. Skeletal remains litter every alcove and spill into the stone slabs that tile the floor. Inspect the hallway. You carefully scan the corridor and focus on every detail. Skeletal remains, probably dislodged from their cubbyholes over centuries, litter the edges of the walls. Judging by an emblem etched in the stones of the tombs, members of the same clan or group lie buried here. A faint sparkle catches your eye. Under a pile of bones collapsed inside an alcove, you discern something glittering. It seems to be within easy reach. You stand before a hallway. Columns frame... Oh, I already got it. Retrieve the glittering object from the tomb. You reach inside the cubbyhole, digging into the pile of bones and stones. Your fingers touch something cold, its surface smooth as glass. You grab it, surprised at its weight, and pull it out to reveal a large ruby resting on the palm of your hand. A ruby? Let's cross the hallway and continue. Steps carved to the rock climb up the tunnel. Its exit forms a head chiseled against the light of the open sky. You stand in the narrow ledge of the tomb's entrance. Above, a tree hangs over the precipice, offering an anchor point for a grappling hook. The wind, gusts beating on the side of the mountain, will require a precise throw. I'm just going to return into the tomb's passage. I know where this leads. It was right outside the Hanging Sepulchers anyway, so I don't need to waste a rope and grappling hook for that. skeleton stands rigid as stone and just as strong, eternally warding the crypt beyond. Inspect the skeleton. Above the skull, an eroded graving on the wall depicts a man standing triumphant over a great gate. Okay. Got a mace here, so I can't remember the name. This skeleton stands rigid as stone and just as strong, eternally warding the crypt beyond. Inspect the skeleton. The skeleton's shoulders are squared for battle. Its fingers grip the rusted remains of a large mace. Above the skull, an eroded engraving on the wall depicts a kneeling woman raising a lantern. Let's get the other thing before we call out her name. It's in this forgotten mausoleum down here. Turquoise and copper skates. Leaf and copper skates.
You should see this. Indeed.
Effigy's husk. Effigy, I believe, is a word used for like a avatar of Skane, God Skane. Yep. Superb armor grants Skane's resentment when the wearer becomes bloodied, or reduces the healing of nearby enemies. And +3 slash armor. An effigy of Skane is only brought into being by those who are oppressed, or who are so oppressed they're willing to perform horrific, unspeakable acts to strike down their persecutor. The ritual requires a willing worshipper to submit to disfigurement, mutilation, and certain death. If the offering is accepted, Skane manifests in the supplicant, transforming them into an unstoppable avatar of the god's will and sets out to brutally slay the oppressors of the faithful. When the monster's bloodlust is sated, the effigy literally falls apart, its task fulfilled. The remains of the creature are understandably avoided. They rot slowly, as even scavengers and vermin seem wary of touching such a carcass. It seems some daring or deranged tailor was not so discouraged. The stitching of this garment is rough but serviceable, and the mismatched patches of flesh have been treated with preserving oils. The macabre robe has an unmistakable stink of freshly tanned hide. This is a good time as any to say. I think Skane is utilized. Like, I think when you read about Skane, he sounds so interesting, but in game, he's just like the ha ha ha, I'm evil kind of god. Skane, let's see what it says about him here. God of defiance, violent rebellion, secret hatred, covert plots, resentment, and envy, frequently pictured as a disfigured and scarred slave and worshipped most often by the subjugated and destitute. So, what he should be is a way, according to what we read about him, is a way for those who don't have much, the people who are oppressed, to fight back, and that's what it should be about. But instead, it's just about being evil for no reason. Like, mechanically in the game, it seems to be about being evil for no reason. I would love to be proven wrong. I might be wrong. Maybe there's some quest in the game that shows a more nuanced side to Skane, but I don't know what it is if they do. We did see Skane in the first game when some of his followers had taken a woman who was impregnated by her uncle. Yes, she was a noble, but they were using her to maybe turn her into an effigy. I don't remember exactly what they were doing, but in some way they were using her after this horrible, horrible thing had happened to her. And it just seemed like they should have been taking out their anger on the uncle that impregnated her against her will, not this person who had been treated so awfully. Like I said, she was a noble, so it does kind of fit with Skane. They take it doesn't matter who it is, they just take out their revenge on nobles, but I don't know, it just didn't sit right with me, and I feel like it means that Skane is a missed opportunity often. Moving on. Pick up this effigy's husk here. And then we got the eulogy to Aesir. Oh, good luck reading this. Emne ought to be bragging needless now, but 'tis important to keep con how full of life, strong and devout Aesir wis, or a Barathian priest. Together by his side in glorious battles fought to Berath's honor, he gutted countless and dead with my spear. For near hound 20 years, Aesir fought to keep shut the gates of hell. Surely they will crash upon which is passing. Losh, Borthen, Laird of Heldengate. Yep.
Tread.
Oh, we got some Risen coming after us now. Go after that mage first. Damn, mages have been killing us. Wait, what? They switch?
I don't think I can pull that off.
That's it! Stand together!
Let's reap this whirlwind!
Second try, I say!
Word of thunder up!
Unclean priest.
Rebirth awaits me.
Hey.
Jody's done for.
It's very hard. Once you see someone in this game starting to lose their health, I feel like it's really hard to stop it from killing them.
Indeed.
It's just because I suck, though. Who knows? Exceptional stuff. This says an armored figure standing under a gate features prominently among the etchings that adorn this sarcophagus. Okay, so we got both of the tablets now.
Don't see why not.
Let's see what the names are again. I don't know if we're going to need to know the names off the top of our head, but if we do, I want to. Alright. So we have Theoden, the Lady of Vigils, and Borthen, Lord of Heldengate. Borthen and Theoden. Call out her name, the Lady of Vigils. I already read this before. Her voice clangs through the cavern. It echoes again and again as the air around you grows heavy. Theoden, a toll, a death knell. Theoden, Lady of Vigils. The dark essence plumes up, coalescing in the air. Then it curls, sifting slowly into the skeleton's mouth. Empty eye sockets alight with flames. The skeleton shudders and rattles, head bowing forward. Its soul essence seeps into the door's seals. Okay. This skeleton stands rigid as stone and just as strong. Call out his name, the Lord of Heldengate. Your words reverberate in the darkness, beckoning the skeleton back to life. Borthen, head of Heldengate. The sound becomes a thrum riding in the air as his soul essence coalesces and curls around you. It prickles along your skin before snaking for the skeleton's mouth. Empty eye sockets alight with flames. The skeleton shudders and rattles, head bowing forward. Its soul essence seeps into the door's seals. Seems like somebody. The towering skeleton straightens his spine, and the sound of his bones shifting rattle around the cavern. A gilded sword rests strapped to his back, and in its hand, it grips a heavy, massive flail with a heavy skull for a striking head.
Watch out!
This is Ysir the Barathian, the person who the elegy was about. Twin fires flicker in the pits of his blackened eye sockets, burning with a deadly intent.
Been more than a middling life worth since my flails got bathed in bloody gore.
Long and last is a right fine pleasure jawing with someone who cons proper prose.
I feel like instead of Allah, they should say Islamir when this happens, since we know what's going on with him.
Same to you, my noble sir. 'Tis rare and seendal for a kinsman to cross my brood these undead days. What's a braw happening? But to still have a prestation to uphold. You can't, aye.
Hey, that's great. Somebody else does Isselmir's funny country talk.
The Death Guard glowers menacingly.
Speak, then perish. Listen, you've a cause from Berath to fare here.
The Death Guard drags the spiked skullhead of his immense flail over the ground, gouging the stone at his feet. Then he hefts the flail's chain over his bony shoulders. I couldn't be here if Berath didn't personally favor me. The skeleton stands still as death, magic billowing around him, burning up the air. For several moments he only stares. Then his teeth clack loudly, and he hefts the flail from his shoulders, swinging it just short of your throat.
So tell me what for the goddess would send ye, swiftly. A button your next and last breath.
Say this for religion. I'm not here for that which you protect, Death Guard of Berath. Berath's high priest laments that your eulogy has been forgotten.
Aye, be it 2 life worths, no Berathian priest have come to the sepulchres.
He studies you, eyes flickering silently. Then his teeth clack, and he drops the flail's skull down to crater the ground.
Aye. Stay your death, then I will.
I must take the last stone tablet of your eulogy to the high priest of Berath.
Aye then, I'll allow it. They priests need to be keeping the sacred rites of Berath alive. There it lies in my burial grave.
Farewell.
How fares, brother?
Right fine, you jolly old bandput.
How yous?
He nods gravely. Oh, that's kind of cute, actually. Some Adra back here, huh? This is the eulogy to Aesir the sword. It is too soon, or 'tis too soon. Such pain cannot be fathomed. Wolf's teeth gnawed at my ribs. Burn in fever, these devouring flames. A troth to vow, and it cannon be broken Berath, to slay the undead. Hunted Riven, far and near, deep in the Darkwood. Recovered the Sword of Souls, and should have killed Riven in the Battle of Duskin Isle, as it killed her heir. But instead, I was struck Masidlins. Forgot the Karen to the temple, sepulchres, or ne'er saw it. Ended lying in the grave, captive to the pile of night. Now can I keep the grip on the sword? The towels and 'twill be taken, if I die. Wielded as a wound, hurt some cog, and Berath. Or can I die? And fail ye? Willna die, willna die, willna die. Hid to see Riven suffer. Puffer toward Berath's sacred weapon. I wise, Aesir. I have no idea what that says. I probably butchered that. Tried my best. Got it now. Leaves, seven shells. Alright. Hey, Aesir. Talk to that priest up there. It's been a while since we've been here. There was a priest who I think was like...
I noticed the Huana got a lot of statues of Andra.
Akara, Mother Ngati is much beloved.
That doesn't bother you?
Should it? What say?
Well, if everybody in my village had a naked statue of my mama, I'd be knocking on doors and making threats.
This priest of Berath he wanted to die, but he felt like he couldn't until he got these tablets. So that's what he wants to do. So we'll see if it actually goes through with it. High Priest Asu.
Coming along well, is it? It can be dangerous down there. So I read. I never went yet, but I will after I die.
You know Asir had become a death guard.
Had heard, but knew no. Is it true? Aesir is a death god. So, under the right duress, it can be done.
You want to become a death guard? That's why you're preparing a ritual to kill yourself?
Yes, the fate that awaits me. Then I will walk within the catacombs beneath the temple. Finally, I'll be one of Berath's chosen, blessed for always.
May your God have mercy on your soul.
We gotta get this fella to a brothel.
To live for death is a contradiction that only the great eel could appreciate.
He blinks wide eyes back at you. Why do this? Surely you're more valuable to Berath alive in leading the flock.
Value and worth are not the same, no.
Planting you a feeble smile, the priest checks the remainder of a nearby hourglass. Then he uncorks his goatskin flask and chokes down a deep swig.
We will speak again, after my acolyte has gouged my heart from my chest. The cutting and the chants will work.
Head tipped back, he closes his eyes as if he can hear the chanting already.
You'll see. All right. I will address your inquiries best as I can. So ask.
I'm going to say farewell here. I want to read about death guards. So it says, extraordinarily rare. Death guards are sometimes created upon the demise of a particularly determined individual who refuses to leave the physical world for the beyond. Paladins are most susceptible to this terrible transformation, but priests and other exceptional zealots often suffer the same fate. Death guards occupy their former bodies, but the energy that allows the soul to remain in the physical world rapidly consumes the flesh, leaving only bone behind. They're often driven mad by their state and are terrifying foes to behold, striking fear into those unlucky few who encounter them. When vampires wish to avoid the gradual decay associated with their condition, they can engage in a risky, expensive, and extremely painful process that separates their tissues from bone and leaves a perfectly aware skeleton behind. In this case, essence does not decay in the flesh and instead resides in bone, a much hardier substance. Since the newly created Death Guard requires virtually nothing to survive and will not naturally decay further, it can live until it is killed. Their limited connection to the beyond allows them to summon fearsome balls of flame, summon shadows, and even slay the living with a word. So that's interesting there. The idea being that you can keep your body alive, but get rid of the flesh, which means that because now that you are bone, you are much more durable. But unlike skeletons, you actually still have your mind and you are able to keep doing things as if you were still a vampire, which is the first stage of undeath or being a vessel, where you still kind of are aware of what you're doing. You need to feed on essence, but you still are very much like you're almost still alive at that point. Not technically, but almost. And that seems like a death guard to do that, but actually be a skeleton while it happens. And as we saw down there, a death guard doesn't just mindlessly attack, so I don't know, I'm just kind of willing to let this guy do what he wants to do to himself.
Coming along well, is it? It can be dangerous down. I never went yet.
Acquired the stone tablet.
After I die.
Right? Acquired the stone tablets containing Isira's eulogy.
Give them here.
The priest's arms quiver from the weight of the stone-carved tablets. As he sets them down, his hands scan the grooved words.
Truly, you are Berath's champion, yet you will not die soon. There is work ahead for you. I set these aside for you. Old keepsakes from another time.
So we got Rauatai's walking cloak and a girdle of mortal protection. The walking cloak. +1 diplomacy and +1 survival. Rauatai was born into the Reparo caste of her tribe. Fostered by laborers, she was taught that her life of hard work would be but a prelude to her next life of duty, respect, and responsibility. All the same, she was not so content to wait. Rauatai set out from her tribe and wandered the isles, taking but a single possession, her cloak. She lived off the land and hunted when able, and growing in her acclaim as a tribeless curiosity and storyteller. She made friends and enemies in great abundance with nary a regret, for her path was always before her. Rauatai's fate is unknown, but her name is often whispered among the Raparo, who learn to believe that not all paths are predetermined. In the Girdle of Mortal Protection, apart from holding up one's trousers, belts, nope. Okay, so this doesn't have a special word description. It just gives you +2 Constitution, and 50% of incoming crits are converted to hits. Okay.
Berath holds you close, perhaps in helping you.
He trails off, leaving the thought unfinished. Checking an hourglass, he uncorks the goatskin flask and chokes down half of its silvery contents.
All right. I will address your inquiries best as I can. So ask.
We're done here. Is that it? Yep, says it's done. Okay. I thought maybe we would see him die or something. I guess not. And everybody but Takehu leveled up. Takehu leveled up in the last session. So everybody else is here. Let's go through these. They're more athletics and survival. Just one ability here. Give him this unbreakable. He seems to be coming alive anyway, but the fighter refuses to be vanquished. After being knocked out, the fighter stands back up with a portion of their health restored and temporary bonuses to all defenses and armor ratings. Shodi. Legend. Got resurrection spell here. Resurrection. Insight and mechanics. I don't know if it's good that I'm focusing on like single abilities or if I should be spreading them around a little bit more. You're looking for deception skills for him. We've already got everything here, so maybe we'll go to 8. Get the rapid casting. Reduces the time it takes to complete a spell's cast. And Aloth. Metaphysics and explosive. Finally got to use the explosives last time, killing that whale on the ship. Give him Lingrass Warding Staff. Maybe you can use that to push people away when they come and get him. Dying so quickly down in the Sepulchers. Okay. All done there. what's next. No, maybe I'll do Maia's quest. We haven't spent much time with Maia. And yeah, be good to get to know her a little bit. Spend a little bit more time with the Royal Deadfire Company. So, 2 quests for her. I think this one, the Matter of Import, is just a quest for the Royal Deadfire Company where she is a recommended companion. And then her actual character quest is the Courier's Calling. So we have to go to Arama, which is near Tigawara. And Widla and her crew are waiting at a predetermined spot west of Neketaka. Okay. So, first, let's go to the Wild Mare
I dare you to go inside.
No!
to rest.
Aloha will eat me.
Switch out to Kehu. For Maia.
Now, what can I do for you?
Hey, you know what? Let's
You see anything you like?
switch her out first. That way she can get the resting benefits.
I will take this time to meditate.
And I will have to level her up. I will have to level her up, but I'll skip all that so you don't have to see it because it's going to be quite a few levels. She hasn't been in our party at all. She's even got something to say, so let's do that first.
Captain, a word?
Maya nods to grab your attention. What's on your mind, soldier? Actually, I'm just gonna say yes, Maya.
What, did Ishi defecate in your favorite helmet or something?
Ishi, I believe, is her bird.
You've spoken to Aethys, which means you know what we're up against. If the fleet sailed up to him and fired every cannon at once, I imagine we'd have a fighting chance at taking a chip off his kneecap. There's no stopping him, is there?
Everything can be solved through violence.
Get used to it. That's how things get done in this part of the world.
Very Royal Deadfire Company of her. She sighs away some of her tension, rolling her shoulders and cracking her neck.
I suppose there's a certain appeal to recognizing the inevitable. We don't have to waste our breath trying to stop it.
Could you elaborate on that?
It reminds me of the first time I shot to kill.
Maya folds her arm and grins. Oh, I have to hear this.
There he stood, a pirate captain barking orders from the forecastle. Out of everyone's range but mine.
Maya holds up her hand to frame a distant spot.
The wind toyed with us. I took aim, never thinking I'd make the shot, but then I felt this awareness, like someone out there was aiming me. A cannon blast took me by surprise. I squeezed off a shot, expecting it to fly wide, but the bullet took my target between his eyes.
She traces a circle over her brow.
I don't know if Berath kicked open a door or the Sky Mother held my hand, but that man was meant to die. I've got that same feeling now. Better or worse, I know that Aethys is meant to succeed.
Time will tell if Aethys getting what he wants is good for the rest of us.
Hope I didn't take the wind out of your sail. Whether or not we can change anything, at least we can say we were there. That's more than most people get.
Let's be off. Okay, so now I will be leveling her up. Leveled her up to, I think, level 11, maybe 12. I spent a lot of points on making her companion better, so fighting in tandem. They do more damage, have better accuracy, those kinds of things. It's not going to go over every choice, but good to at least let you know that. Alright, so now that we have Maia, our ship.
Absolutely.
Ishiza calls her Hawk, Falcon, Ishi for short. I think Widla, yeah, Widla is right over here. Food here. Okay, I should probably get some more though. Long sleep ship rides low in the water. Its crew stands protectively around a cluster of crates positioned at the main deck. A woman saunters across the deck, her roughly chopped hair swinging with her stride.
We said or not, Perrin.
She bangs her fist against one of the crates. The dwarven man standing near her flinches, as though she'd hit him.
I'd happily tell you if you stopped interrupting my count.
He rolls his eyes skyward. She cackles and thumps him on the back. He staggers forward and shoots her a venomous glare.
You've had days to count. Now it's time we talked about the price.
She turns her attention to you, eyes gleaming. Perrin follows her gaze.
We've had some complications. The price has doubled.
He gives you a crooked grin and watches you carefully. See what this says. Do you know who I'm representing? Widla is a little too fast to respond, almost as if she's trying to stop you from saying more.
I know they've got the cash.
And give them a better deal today and get more work from them in the future. I think that means that she doesn't want her crew to know that she's dealing with the Royal Deadfire Company. The rolling laugh is echoed by her crew.
Oh, we didn't become pirates to work more. Now, if you want the cargo, you'll pay up.
Why'd you raise the price?
Guess you've never snuck a few coppers from the tip jar. Let's just say there are other folks who'd be happy to pay my price.
You mean the Valiant Trading Company?
What matters is I'm giving you the chance to buy it first.
Won't be in business long if you treat your contacts this way.
That's the point. I don't want to be in it long. I want to fill my hold with cash and retire early. There's plenty of business for enterprising sorts in Deadfire, and I have arrangements with every major power in the archipelago.
Had, or don't you remember?
I have arrangements with... Okay. So, apparently, she used to be in with quite a few different people, and he's suggesting that she's lost their goodwill.
I'll remember this when I'm doling out rations tonight if you don't shut your mouth.
She glares at Perrin. I'm not paying. Her eyebrows quirk in surprise.
You ought to reconsider, else we'll be forced to relieve you of what you have.
So it looks like our choice is to either pay the full price or fight and kill everybody. I don't want to fight and kill everybody. Calm down. He must have misheard me.
A few weeks at sea will do that.
She digs around in her ear with her pinky. All right, I'll give her 2,000 copper. Deal.
Glad we could do business.
The smugglers unload the crates onto your ship. Your new cargo secured, you retract the anchor and let out your sails. So I didn't look at the beginning of that quest, so let's take a look here. It starts, Hazanui Karu has a job for me. Her office, oh, it's nothing. Widla and her crew are waiting at a doesn't really say much. Hazanui Karu asked me to pick up an important shipment and deliver it to the island of Sayuka. Find what's in there. Yep. There's Sayuka to the north. That way. As your crew haul the smugglers' crates below decks, one of them shouts in alarm. Berger finds you in the cabin. Captain, come quick! Someone's just popped out of one of these crates we picked up. Before you can object, Berger leads you above deck. A plump middle-aged woman stands behind the crates. Her clothing is rumpled and her hair matted. Her eyes twinkle with triumph.
Gelarde, 23 days! This is a new record.
She smells of stale urine, old sweat, and worse, but she beams at you all the same. So, either we're selling them to slavers, or this woman has made a game of this. But considering the way she smells and the good mood she's in, she reminds me of Zawa from the White March expansion of the first game. What are you doing in there?
Waiting to reach Sayuka, of course. Also testing my newest spell, Renove Miseres.
She speaks the name as proudly as if it belonged to her firstborn. What?
Renewal of air, you would say. Kith have explored every mountain in the eastern reach, yet the realm of fish and leviathans remains close to us. It has been my dream to open these steps to discovery, to let Kith breathe as the fishes do.
A look of wonder shines in her eyes.
Or at least to let us use the air of a single breath again and again.
Still don't understand why you had to hide in the crate.
Neither do I.
But Okaya, he thinks maybe the Dukes will not be so happy to let me go. That line wasn't voiced for some reason. She shrugs.
At least it gave me plenty of time to test my work.
Why go to Sayuka? Why leave the Valian Republics?
Back home, they care only for profit, and there is little profit to be had in sticking your head in the glass bucket to watch the fish. But the Rauataians, they have vision. They chase greater things than gold. So I go to work with them.
Well, let me get this straight. You've been perfecting a spell that recycles air, and you'll use it to help Rauataians make something big?
So you do understand.
Nods proudly.
But I can say no more. The Rauataians, they have sworn me to secrecy.
She presses her lips together. What exactly are you to be working on at Sayuka?
Sintere, but I had promised not to say.
She looks sincerely regretful. That's all, I suppose.
Yes, I have much to do. Many more tests to run before we reach Sayuka. A pleasure talking, Captain.
I just had a thought. No, okay. I remembered reading something about, making some kind of alliance with slavers, and I wanted to make sure this wasn't the one. And that we didn't just let some slavers go. But it doesn't look like this is the one. Okay. This is the bounty.
It caused me a sorrow most unkind, while crossing down the Deadfire way. Hold fast to the helm, hold fast to the wind. Heave-ho, Inspirente, Andra's grace, so will all these be, as we sail down the Deadfire way. They say in
Sayuka at last! I must go. Discovery awaits. Agrasima, Captain.
Bows to you.
Welcome to Sayuka.
This is a woman named Tebe who just said that.
You are welcome in Sayuka, traveler, as surely as the winds stir the sea.
The young Huana woman gives you a sunny smile that shows every one of her pointed teeth.
No. How many times must I demonstrate the proper way to greet a visitor?
The undersecretary makes emphatic chopping motions with his hand, a snarl curling in his thin lips.
I say, I must have forgotten again. Will you remind me of the line, Undersecretary?
We say clear skies, traveler. Simple, elegant, and no smiling. Do you understand, Greeter Tebe?
Can you repeat it once more? I want to make sure I've got it.
Tebe turns wide, innocent eyes on the undersecretary. The undersecretary opens his mouth to speak, but his expression abruptly clouds. He shoots a scowl at Tebe, and elects instead not to dignify her joke at his expense.
Questions, traveler?
What can you tell me about Sayuka?
Sayuka, known to my people as Ribiri, is a colonial outpost of the Royal Deadfire Company.
Tebe makes no effort to hide the boredom in her voice. So is she actually part of the Royal Deadfire Company? She must be. But it says known to my people as Ribiri.
The island of Sayuka is the Royal Deadfire Company's center of engineering research and development in the archipelago. Our work is directed by Fleet Master Okaya, the youngest Rauataian ever to hold the title. Best of her class at the Naval Academy in Tokoa, and a brilliant engineer, our Fleet Master.
Pride warms his voice.
You forgot to mention the giant sharks, Undersecretary.
Wait. Giant sharks?
Giant sharks, giant coral, giant trees, Hikira. The only thing not bigger in Sayuka is us Huana.
So she is Huana. So, as she said they call it Ribiri, she was talking about how Huana call it Ribiri. And the undersecretary here got pissed about that and emphasized Sayuka. So, imperialism happening here, probably?
Small mercy.
The undersecretary mutters under his breath.
No one knows why things grow large in Sayuka, but there are all sorts of theories. Me? I think Gallowayne smiles on us.
Tebe's cheeks glow with a faint blush, the first authentic emotion you've seen cross her face.
Superstition is unbecoming of a Royal Deadfire Company officer, Tebe.
I say, it's a lucky thing I'm not one then.
Why are you dressed like a Royal Deadfire Company soldier, Tebe?
Hikira, I wonder the same every day.
Tebe tugs at the neck of her uniform and rolls her dark eyes at the undersecretary when she thinks he's not looking. So I was going to comment on that, actually. I just thought, I don't know, it wasn't actually important, but I was going to say she can't be Huana because she looks like she's dressed like a Royal Deadfire Company person. And that's on purpose. She is Huana, but she is, for some reason, dressed as a Royal Deadfire Company officer.
Tebe learns to perform her duties as a Rauataian might.
The undersecretary straightens his back and squares his shoulders.
Her fellow Huana show a lamentable disinterest in the proper way of doing things.
Reminds me of the word civilized. How powerful nations say civilized as if it actually means something, and they talk about less developed nations as uncivilized, even though that has nothing to do with civilization.
Do not speak about me as if I am not here.
He's an undersecretary, exactly.
A career sandal sniffer and busybody, so far as I can tell.
Tebe shrugs.
You ungrateful sag!
Sag?
I am the second in command to Fleet Master Okaya, the governor of your piddling little island, and I will not be mocked by a smart-mouthed idler like you!
The Undersecretary's jowls quiver with a barely contained rage.
So I have heard many, many times.
Debbie meets your eyes and raises her brows emphatically. I am going to whisper, this guy sucks. Is it just me, or is this guy terrible?
You don't know the half of it.
An impish smile plays at the corners of her mouth. Adair, Maia, and Shodi all like that.
What was that, Greeter Tebe?
Surely just the breeze, Undersecretary.
Debbie's impish smile grows into a mocking grin.
You will call me Sir.
Akira, I certainly will not.
Farewell. Alright, so there is some conflict between the Huana and the Royal Deadfire Company on the island of Sayuka / Rabiri. It's Marofetto Liano. Find a man dressed in worn, dirty leather armor. His long, scraggly beard is encrusted with salt. His curling hair has clearly not seen a comb in some time, and the toenails of his bare feet are cracked and torn. The only thing of any value that he carries is an amulet. I wonder if this is going to be a trainer.
Oh, greetings.
He hesitates a moment before saying more. Or maybe he's just going to sell us the amulet.
Might I help you with something?
Tell me about yourself.
I suppose.
He looks at you quizzically, perhaps unsure why you've asked him such a personal question.
I was a proud man once. A gold pack knight. Then I took a job and it went poorly. I could no longer stay with the order after that.
His eyes take on a faraway look as he remembers. So gold pack knight, I believe, are the ones that honor... Yes, gold pack knights are an order of mercenary paladins for hire. They believe in payment as a form of binding contract and hold impartiality as a high virtue. So basically, if you say you're going to do something for gold, then you have to do it. So I wonder if this thing that he did was actually something awful, or if he just kind of reneged on that idea that gold is a binding contract.
In the years since, I have wandered the length of the Deadfire, dedicating my life to self-discipline and abstination from worldly distractions. It is only through suffering that the soul becomes strong. Do you understand?
Okay, so this says abstention, and he said abstination. I think he just mispronounced the word. Might be wrong, though. I see.
I should hope that you do, young man.
You teach me what you've learned in your years wandering the Deadfire.
You would ask an old man to share his wisdom. Well, I suppose I could. For 3,000 copper.
I don't think so.
Fine by me. Find me if you need me.
That was intimidation and something else, I forget. But he is a trainer, so I can go see him. Go to the Fleet Master's quarters here.
You don't bring trouble, I hope.
Maybe. Fleet Master Okoya stares with an unwavering intensity at the small sea of paper strewn across her desk. She holds a pencil lightly in one hand and absently taps the tip of it against her lips. After a moment, a low hum escapes her throat. The sound ends with a harsh scoff, then she flicks her eyes to meet yours.
Artillery trajectory calculations. Terribly tedious and lamentably imprecise in a storm.
She chews on the end of her pencil. Her gaze grows distant, like she's watching something behind you.
But the numbers distract me. Where are my manners? You must be the watcher the Hazanui sent. You found me with a rare spare moment.
Who are you?
Did you not read the name on the door before you came in? You do know you're in the office of the Fleet Master, I hope.
I mean, who are you in the general sense?
You meant to ask why I'm important enough to have my name on a door. I'm a Fleet Master of the Rauataian Navy stationed at Sayuka. A research colony of the Royal Deadfire Company.
She does refer to it as a colony, so they are at least aware of the imperialist colonization of this place. What are you researching?
Andra's mortar. Storms that strong, that consistent. I suspect they're not natural.
Impressive title.
To one unfamiliar with the Rauatai Navy, perhaps. But mine is an administrative position. I see to the smooth running of Sayuka. Of course, it'd be a sight easier if there weren't the coral to contend with.
What fleet? I don't see any boats.
You misunderstand. I don't command ships. I command this port. Rauataian vessels docking here are under my protection, but I don't tell them where to go. That's the Hazanui's job.
Let's see. Kaya nods and looks briefly at her desk, distracted by a table of figures. As she reads, she twirls her pencil between her fingers, stopping briefly to take a few brief notes. She appears to have forgotten you entirely. Hazanui Karu asked me to deliver some cargo to you.
I've received a report from the dockmaster stating as much. The Royal Deadfire Company appreciates your swift delivery of our cargo.
Cheery smile brightens her otherwise serious features. The smuggler extorted me for double the delivery fee.
That's unfortunate, though not entirely unexpected. Here's the difference, plus a bit more for your trouble.
Okay. She unlocks a drawer in a desk and takes out a large coin purse. Silently, she slides it across the desktop to you.
I've received a report from the dockmaster stating as much. The Royal Deadfire Company appreciates your swift delivery of our cargo.
Cheery smile brightens her otherwise serious features. Hazanui didn't say I'd be ferrying human cargo.
Why would she? You're a courier.
She stares at you in genuine bewilderment.
In any event...
Kaya thoughtfully taps her pencil against the edge of her desk.
The Hazanui's missive suggested you might be able to help us with an issue at port.
Hear you out, but I'm not making any promises.
Naturally. You may have noticed the outsized coral in the harbor.
She gestures to the docks just beyond her office door. Nod.
There's something unnatural about the coral's growth. About everything on this island. And no matter how we trim it back, it only grows larger.
This is something that Tebe outside was referring to. She said that everything grows to really large sizes.
My engineers deduced that the origin of this disturbance is somewhere off the coast of Sayuka, and I'd like you to investigate. Talk to Avera in the workshop if you care to learn more. I would be grateful for your help here, Watcher.
There's the woman that came out of the crate. She gives you a sharp little nod, punctuated by the crack of her pencil against the desk, then returns to her work. I wanted to ask you about something.
Well?
What does the Royal Deadfire Company hope to achieve in the archipelago?
How much do you know of Rauatai, Watcher?
Some.
I see.
She taps her ever-present pencil against her lips, taking your measure.
It's a challenging place. Whatever manages to grow in our thin soil, the storms destroy.
Oh, she's talking about the homeland now.
The rough country, we call it.
Affection creeps into her voice.
We have to trade for much of what we need, and the Huana have proven to be valuable partners. The Deadfire is markedly more comfortable than Rauatai. The archipelago is also an excellent place from which to study the storms of Andra's mortar.
She gestures broadly at the spyglass on her desk. What's your take on the Royal Deadfire Company's relationship with the Huana here?
That's a weighty question.
She narrows her eyes, reassessing you. That's why I asked it. She snorts through her nose. Her gaze falls on the pencil of her hand, which she begins to tap thoughtfully along the edge of her desk.
It's a reasonable inquiry, I suppose. The Huana are pliant enough and willing to work hard when properly motivated. We have as much right to this land as they do. If they plan to do nothing with it, it's our duty to steward it for them.
It's a very telling statement here. We have as much right to this land as they do. If they plan to do nothing with it, it's our duty to steward it for them. Once again, the imperialistic power, thinking they know better than the natives of the land.
And it's their duty to recognize a good deal when they see it. Next one will be as generous.
So Maia is very much a member of the Royal Deadfire Company here, thinking that the Huana should be grateful for what the Rauataians and the Royal Deadfire Company has done here. Some of the Huana seem unhappy.
They'll adjust in time. Besides, it could be worse.
She looks at her desk, her mind quickly gone somewhere else. After a long silence, she hurriedly scribbles a note in the margin of one of her reports. Would you feel if someone did the same to Rauatai?
They could certainly try.
Yeah, figured they would say something like that. Like, that could never happen to us. We're too powerful. Farewell. Papers are covered with figures, snippets of poetry, and letters to home. These book spines are cracked and their pages much dog-eared.
Indeed.
Carefully curated selection of Rauatai's finest spirits.
It's no trouble.
A superb arquebus in here, huh?
I'm here. Quietly now.
It's got a good weapon. Superb arquebus.
Certainly.
You ever wonder if it's unhealthy to carry a lantern full of lost souls?
You mean like if I keep at it, they're gonna do something worse and give me nightmares?
I suppose we're past the point of unhealthy.
This game board is scuffed and scratched from frequent use. I wonder if that was the game that the Fleet Master was playing in Neketaka. Looks like it might be, although I think that had a map, so maybe that's just some more like a chessboard. The pieces look the same.
Happily.
I'd like to know a little bit more about what that game is, though. Hey, there's Romaro. That's who Seraphim is looking for, so once we are able to change our party. Subtle markings on the fish's hide suggest the lampreys of unusual size haunt the waters around Sayuka. Yep. I also wanted to look at this, actually. Yeah, we see this enormous piece of coral that's growing in the harbor here. That's what the Fleet Master wanted us to look into. But yeah, once I am able to switch up my party, then I will go and see Romaro with Seraphim in my party. Longhouse, Tipa, Weto, and Rauatai. Ships can't come into port because of the coral. Broad-shouldered man with a long, jagged scar across his brow argues with a woman outside the longhouse. He throws his hands up, about to shout, but the woman cuts him off mid-exclamation.
I will not return to the longhouse, Weto, never! And I won't blunt my teeth about it further!
She plants her hands firmly on her hips and juts out her chin in defiance. This is the longhouse right here.
But what are you so stubborn? The Rauataians do us a great favor and you spit in their faces.
Weto ceases his shouting when he notices you listening in.
What do you need?
Is there a problem here?
Not at all, not at all. My sister and I are just having a small disagreement.
Weto rubs at the back of his neck and looks away, embarrassed. So here, I believe they would both be Huana, most certainly, and Weto thinks that the Rauataians have done some good, whereas her sister Tipa doesn't think so.
It is because you speak like this that I yell at you in the first place! You're beginning to sound like those Rauataian outlanders, and it shames me to say so.
The problem with the Rauataians?
Ignore her. She has an urchin up her ass about her cousins from the north and can't be persuaded. I should know. I've tried.
I really appreciate this saying here. She has an urchin up her ass. I like that. He shoots Tipa an irritated look and rolls his eyes.
Is it so unreasonable to want to protect my culture, our culture, from our greedy neighbors?
She spits on the ground between you and grits her teeth. This is the issue that I have with the Huana faction in this game. Royal Deadfire Company, as I've said, is just kind of militaristic and imperialistic. They think that they deserve things and they take those things by force. Valiant Trading Company is all about money and kind of at the what's the word I'm looking for here? The Valiant Trading Company just cares about money. They don't care about how they get that money. So as we saw earlier with a contract that was worded kind of confusingly, the person who signed it thinking they were getting a good deal, but there was some language in there he didn't really understand way back earlier in the game that made him lose his island, basically. So the Valiant Trading Company honors those contracts, but they are kind of sneaky and suspicious about how they go and get that money. The Huana, I think, are a little bit more complicated, because here we have the Huana that just want to uphold their culture and they want to keep doing the things that they always have been doing and to be left alone, basically. But then we have the Huana like Queen Onakaza, who basically, now that she has seen what money can buy and what these resources the Valiant Trading Company and the Rauataians can give her, she has forgotten the lower castes of her own culture, and she just kind of looks out for herself. I think maybe she could be convinced to help out the Reparo, but it doesn't seem like that is her major concern. She just wants power for herself. So we have these dueling points of view here, where the everyday cast of the Huana is just trying to live their lives and they want to be allowed to celebrate their culture, and the ruling class of the Huana are just as bad as the Rauataians and the Valiant Trading Company. The fourth is the Principe, which we haven't spent too much time with the Principe, so I'm not going to say too much about them, but I just wanted to make that clear about the Huana. When I say I don't like the Huana, I'm talking about the ruling class of the Huana, because Reparo, especially, I think, have been left behind, and that is too bad, and I wish that I could do more to help them. Okay, moving on.
They arrive in ships laden with goods they believe will please us and think that gives them the right to build their walls on our land. Then they act surprised when we don't all fall at their feet with cries of gratitude.
He has a point.
Akira, don't encourage her. I will never hear the end.
We are no strangers to the menaces of the Deadfire. Pirates, colonials, Nagati's children. We have bested all of them before. We don't need them or their walls to keep us safe, and we surely don't need their longhouse.
What does all of this have to do with the longhouse?
Another of the Rauataians' tricks. When our huts were destroyed in the storms, they did not rebuild them like they were as we requested. They built this longhouse instead. Are you not one people? They said. Why do you live divided, each caste apart from the others? They believe they know what's best for us, but how we live is not their business.
I think anybody could commiserate with her here. The idea of having to share a single house just to foster brotherhood or whatever the Rauataians tried to sell it as is kind of insulting. Obviously, people need their privacy. I am reminded of, if you'll allow me a little tangent here into the real world, in the book Farewell to Manzanar by Jean Wakatsuki Houston and James D. Houston, Jean Wakatsuki Houston writes about her experiences in Manzanar, a Japanese-American internment camp from World War II. And what this was sold as was when Japanese Americans were considered enemy aliens after the attack on Pearl Harbor, and emphasis on Japanese Americans here. These were American citizens of Japanese descent, not Japanese people. Not that that would make it any better, but they were Japanese Americans. And they were forcibly removed from their homes and brought to internment camps in the middle of the desert, basically. Where these they were enclosed by barbed wire, they were pretty big, and there were these like separate barracks where 6 or 8 people would live in these barracks. And at first when they moved there, these barracks were basically a single room with a single light bulb, so they needed to hang up blankets in order to separate like rooms. kind of, and have a little bit of privacy. But in this part of the book of the story of Farewell to Manzanar, Gene Wakatsuki Houston talks about the human need for privacy, and how when you lose that privacy, then you lose a part of yourself, you lose a part of your humanity. And I think that's what Tippa's kind of getting at here. They each had their own huts before that they needed help rebuilding, and rather than do that, the Rauataians built this long house where all of them could stay, which obviously strips away a good portion of their privacy. So once again, the Royal Deadfire Company is trying to say they're doing good to the Huana, but really they are just kind of shoving them to the side and doing the bare minimum. Moving on.
The Fleet Master says we are weak because we don't work as one. She doesn't see that it's our differences that make the Huana strong. She doesn't want to see it, lest it put the lie to their enterprise here.
But why do you support the Rauataians?
We are no strangers to storms, but last year we suffered many powerful ones in quick succession, and our harvest of koiki fruit was destroyed. Prize share was rationed, famine loomed, and then the Rauataians sent ships, load after load of food, enough to see us to the next harvest. They could have left us to die, but they didn't.
A Huana term referring to the distribution of wealth, that's what prize share is. So the Rauataians did feed them after they lost a lot of their food. So that's why he basically forgives what they have done since then.
It was only a ploy to make us dependent on them, Akira. We took their food and helping hands, and now we sleep in their buildings and watch the sea from their walls.
The Huana and Rauataians are both Aomao. Why not be allied?
Under whose banner? Rauatai's? Then we cease to be Huana as surely as if they conquered us.
We have the land and resources Rauatai needs, and they have the military might we lack. We share a common ancestor. Why not create a common culture? Together we would be strong.
I say, if you truly believe that, then you're a bigger fool than I thought.
I side with the Huana here. The Huana should forge their own path.
Akira, I don't need you to tell me as much. But I appreciate your support nonetheless.
Tippa nods and gives you a tight smile.
It is gratifying to be heard and understood. That an outlander could do this and my brother could not shames us both.
Caught between the Valians and the Rauataians, we will be crushed. We need a strong ally to survive the coming years.
Basically, his argument is the Rauataians are the lesser of two evils, but both are evil. In the analogy, I'm not saying all Valians and Rauataians are all evil. Just that it's a bad thing no matter what, so we'll take the less bad thing. Widow shakes his head sadly. He tries to put his hand on his sister's shoulder, but she shrugs him off, a look of disgust curling her lips. It was an interesting conversation that I didn't expect to spend so much time on, but I enjoyed that. This is Rauahi.
I hate to see Tippa and Widow fight.
So let's head into this longhouse here. I didn't do this when we got here. Here we have the Fleet Master's office. This is the docks. Right next to us here is the longhouse. We have an exit. This is the market with the fish up here, and this is the workshop and another exit. I thought this was a door to an interior over here, but actually it just seems like it's in the workshop yard. Okay, so let's head on into the longhouse and see what else is here. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to end there for this session, and then we will go to the longhouse at the beginning of the next session. That's a good place to end on this conversation, this very interesting point of view between the Huana who back the Rauataians and the Huana who just want to respect their own culture and have to live on their own, not have to pay tribute to a different culture. But yes, as always, thank you for joining me. Please let me know if you have any questions, comments, clarifications, those kinds of things. I always love to hear from anybody. And I look forward to seeing you next time for more sentences and paragraphs. Bye, everybody.